Matthew chapter 14 from verse 8. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, Give me here John the Baptist's head in a charger. So before she came to dance, she had held a meeting with her mother. So they knew what will happen. They knew the effect of the dance. They knew what the dance will create. See, the dance is not only for the king. Yes, the only difference is just that the dance was fashioned in a way that the king will be more affected. But it was not only the king that was their target. Everyone that watched that dance were also manipulated. What do I mean? Why the king was, making that promise and he added an oath, nobody said anything. Everybody was quiet. They were watching him. The chiefs could have given him a counsel. Well, this girl is a young girl. Just promise her. You don't need to add oath. Because, she may ask for things that may not go well with you. So, to be on the safer side, just make a promise. So, in case she now asks you for things that is not safe to give, you can ask her to pick another option. Do you understand? But nobody gave him counsel because the fact that they watched that dance, also made them victims. So the effect of the dance on them was not just the same, but everybody were actually affected. Are we together? To the king, it made him, say what he should not say. It led him to a wrong decision making, and to the people there, it actually brought them to the point where they just flow with everything. Those that could even speak to the king, everybody kept quiet. It's still part of the manipulation. So somebody can come and project a thing, and that thing that they are projecting has been calculated in such a way that the effect it will have on individuals will not be the same. To some, it will lead them to wrong decision making, and to others, it will bring them to the point where even when they see that you are making the wrong decision, they will not be able to say anything. Everything is still a product of manipulation. Are we together? So the girl said, "Bring me here." That statement is heavy. Bring me here before these people. I want them all to see. So bring me here. Not when they have left. Bring me here. Now. Bring the head of John the Baptist now. As if is something that must be done to make the ceremony complete. Say, bring me here. Like a person is celebrating his birthday. Are you there? What are some of the things you know that you can use that statement for? Something that is fast becoming an important part of the ceremony. Cake, right? Cake is one of them. So I believe cake is one of those things you can say, bring me here. Why? Because it's part of the ceremony. It is looking like it's part of the thing that makes the ceremony complete. The celebrant should cut cake. So bring me here the cake. You understand? There are other things also that are very important. Bring me here the photographer, because of course they will take pictures. You understand? Bring me here the guests. Those things, those are the things you can use that statement for. Bring me here, because they are a very important part of the ceremony. So when you use that statement, bring me here, it means you are referring to something that you consider to be a crucial part of the ceremony. As a matter of fact, something that you believe, if not done, the ceremony will not be complete. I don't know how this girl and the mother got to this point, but to the two of them, this girl and his mother, Herodias, cutting off the head of John the Baptist was a crucial part of the ceremony. That was what it became for them, such that if they are unable to achieve that in that day, maybe they will commit suicide. You understand? So the desperacy, the desperacy involved in that delivery is indescribable. That desperacy, bring me here, the head of John the Baptist. And then there are many things to even consider in this. Who is John the Baptist? Who is this little girl talking to? Let's assume, you know. Okay, let's do some historical study. Now, according to historical studies, we're made to know that the name of this Herodias' daughter is Salome. That's the name. Praise the Lord. So her name is Salome. Salome. The name of her mother is Herodias. So instead of saying Herodias' daughter, as it was rendered in this verse, you can say Salome. It's still the same thing. So it was this Salome, are we together, that came to dance. And according to historical studies, we were made to understand that at this point, when this girl was asking for the head of John the Baptist, she was between 12 and 15 years old. 12 and 15 years old. So that means she was still in the early stage of being a teenager. 12 and 15 years old. Because a 12 years old girl is not even a teenager yet. So between 12 and 15 years old. So according to history, we're made to understand that this thing happened, are you there? Between that range, 12 and 15 years old. And then according to historical study, they also made us understand that Herodias at this point she was in her mid 30s. Mid 30s. That's between 35. You understand? With 35 to 36 years old, according to the historical result. Are you there? Herodias, the mother, mid 30s, maybe 35. Let's just assume 35 to 36. And this daughter, Salome, she was between 12 and 15 years old when this happened. Now let's even assume that she's a teenager. Are we together? Let's assume she's a teenager. Praise God. She's even in the early stage of being a teenager. So imagine a teenage girl looking at a man like John the Baptist, and she's saying, bring me here, the head of John the Baptist. Now, even if that thing is right, are you there? The girl is rude. Very rude. That's disrespectful. Let's not even talk about the head of John the Baptist. Imagine a girl, in her early stage of being a being a teenager. Now look at a man, an elderly man, and he's saying, you stand from there, come and sit down here. Are you there? I don't know how it is in every part of the world, but in this part of the world, in Nigeria, culturally speaking, if a young girl or a young person speaks to an elderly person like that, according to the culture in this part of the world, that is considered to be rude. Do you understand? So, according to historical studies, we're made to also understand that at this time, John was in his mid, it was around mid 30s. Mid 30s. It was around that age, mid 30s. So that means John Baptist was likely to be of the same age with the mother of this girl, if not older than the mother. But John was around the age of Herodias. They were, Herodias and John the Baptist. Two of them their age was, their age is around the same thing at this period. So that means Salome was actually speaking to a man that is as old as his mother, so to say. Imagine you are looking at somebody that is as old as your mother and you are saying, bring me here the head of. That is ridiculous. That's serious. And according to historical studies, we're made to understand that at this time, Herod, the father, the tetrarch, was in his late to mid 40s. So Herod was far more older than all of them. Are we together? So imagine Salome, a teenage girl. Let's even assume that she's already a teenager. A teenage girl looking at a man in his 40s, his father, looking at her father, a man in his 40s, mid to late 40s, your own father, and then cooperating with your mother, who is in her 30s, to deceive your father, who is in his 40s, because you want to kill another man in his 30s. Is strange. Are you there? Look at how young Salome is, yet she became a tool to achieve, or she became a tool to propagate wickedness. We must be wise. We must be discerning. Look at that young girl demanding for the head of somebody that is as old as her mother. That's serious. That's serious. All right, so let's continue. Matthew 14 from verse 8. And she, being before instructed of her mother, said, give me here. You understand? So it's obvious that this is planned. It's a planned work. And, they are very intentional about what they want to do. Give me here. As a parent, at least or not even as a parent, as a human being, everybody knows that when it comes to giving things, there's no place you can't do that. You can do it anywhere. You can do it when people are watching. You can do it when people are not watching you. But why is it that this young girl wants her father to give her that thing in the presence of everyone? How? Why? Can you see that? Why? Why? It's because she has been manipulated by her mother. Her mother already made her believe that that's the best thing to do. So the trust she had in her mother was now the tool the mother used to manipulate her. As good as trust is, it is dangerous. I repeat, it is dangerous to trust the wrong person. I tell you the truth. As good as obedience is, it is dangerous. I repeat again, it is dangerous to obey the wrong instructions. Are we together? So every right thing must be resting on another right thing. For example, obedience is good, but it must be towards the right instruction. Trust is good, but you must trust the right person. Because if you don't trust the right person, that good thing becomes a tool of manipulation. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, let's do some historical studies. Now, remember, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I did I explained some things about the Herodian dynasty. Are we together? And I told you how that Emperor Herod the Great. I showed you some things about Herod the Great, how that Herod Antipas, the one that was mentioned in Matthew chapter 14, was from his lineage. Herod the Great was the one mentioned in Matthew chapter 2. Are you there? That's their grandfather. So the one mentioned in Matthew chapter 14 is Herod Antipas. He's also from that lineage. He's a son to him. Are we together? And I told you that there were also other sons. Are we together? Philip was also from that lineage. And there were two Philips from that lineage. I told you how that one of the Philip was a tetrarch and the other Philip was not a tetrarch. And I told you that this other Philip that was not a tetrarch was the person that Herodias first married. Meanwhile, these two Philips, they are all princes. Are you there? But the reason one of the Philip became a tetrarch was because he was given an appointment by the Roman government to rule a quarter of the territory. You understand? So once you receive that appointment from the Roman government to rule a quarter of the territory, you become a tetrarch. So it happens to be that although these two Philips were also princes, they were from that lineage, the lineage of, of Herod, only one of them got that appointment. So we have Philip the tetrarch and Philip, but both of them are princes. So this other Philip that was not a tetrarch was the one that that Herodias first married before she left him to go and marry Herod Antipas. Do you understand that? So take note of those two Philip the tetrarch and the other Philip. Are you there? Now, I told us that the father of Herodias was Aristobulus, and that Aristobulus was also part of the sons. Was also part of the sons of the king. Was also one of the princes. Are you getting it? Now, please take note of that. Now, don't forget those two Philips. You understand? And Herodias also. Herodias was a daughter to Aristobulus, and Aristobulus was also one of the princes. Are you there? So when Herodias now marrying Herod Antipas, the one in the Herod in Matthew chapter 14 is Herod Antipas. That's his name. Herod is a title. Antipas is the real name. You understand what I'm saying? Herod is not the name. It's not a name of anybody. It's just a title. Once are you there? Herod is their family name. So, but the real name of the Herod in Matthew 14 is Antipas. You understand? So Herodias now marrying Antipas is like it's like, okay, let me put it this way. Herod Antipas, the one in Matthew 14, marrying Herodias is like you marrying the daughter of your brother. You understand? Now, after some time, because I made research to know what happened to Salome. Salome also got married. Who did she marry? She married Philip the Tetrarch. You get what I'm saying? Philip the Tetrarch. You can see the gap between the two of them. Philip the Tetrarch, who is likely to be more, of course, older than even her mom. Do you get what I'm saying? That was who she married. And she also married Philip the Tetrarch at an early age, probably as a teenager too. So look at that gap. Imagine a teenage girl marrying a man that is between 50 to 70 years old. Are you there? Maybe it's due to political, I don't know, but that was how she married. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Now, I also made a further study to know what happened to Herod and Herodias. How did they end? Praise the Lord. They were exiled, meaning they were sent out of the kingdom. Why? This is what happened. After they succeeded with the case of John the Baptist, he agreed with his wife and probably some other people, and then they wanted to overthrow the emperor. And an emperor is a ruler over kingdoms. And let me break it down. We have emperor, we have king, we have tetrarch. A tetrarch is the least. As a tetrarch, you are given authority over 1/4 of the territory. As a king, you have authority over a whole kingdom, a whole territory. As an emperor, you'll be in charge of kingdoms. You see that? So an emperor is higher than a king, and a king is higher than a tetrarch. You understand that? So Herod and Herodias, a time came. What I'm saying is historical, so you will not find it in the book of Matthew, but it's historical account. You understand? So a time came when Herod and Herodias, they now planned to take over from the emperor. That was Emperor Caligula. You understand? So that plan was not successful. As a matter of fact, the emperor also began to suspect that these people have, a negative plan. So that was how he now exiled them. They were sent out. So, according to reports, it was likely that they died in exile. You understand what it means for a person to be exiled, meaning they were sent out of the kingdom. That was their end. So obviously, they reap what they did to John the Baptist. I deliberately searched for that. I wanted to know how their end looked like. Are we together? And if you look at Salome as a young girl getting married to Philip the Tetrarch, of course you know how wide the gap between their ages. Imagine a teenage girl marrying a man in his 50s or even more than 50. You understand what I'm saying? Because Philip the Tetrarch, are you there, was a brother to Herod Antipas. And Herod Antipas was the father of Herodias, of Salome. So imagine your daughter now marrying, your daughter getting married to one of your brothers. So you can imagine the gap. Are you there? Then what I suspect from here is the same problem with the mother was also visible in the girl. What do I mean? You know that now let's continue our study. Now I'm still on the historical studies. So let's look at Salome. You remember that the mother of Salome, Herodias, first married the other Philip that was not a, it was the Philip that was a tetrarch that the daughter Salome now married, right? But remember that the mother, Herodias, first married the other Philip that was not a tetrarch before she left him and now went ahead to marry Herod. And finally, they were sent out of the territory. That was where they now later died, according to historical studies. Something similar also happened to the daughter. Salome, I believe this must have happened while she was a teenager because according to the historical study, it was around that age that she did that dance that she got married. Obviously, you can't do that kind of dance and it's not, you will get something too, you understand? So maybe the dance, maybe um, Philip the Tetrarch was also there when she was dancing. And also, she has seen a lot. There's a way you do your dance. You will think, see, when you do evil, you may succeed in the evil, but there will be something that is part of that evil you are doing also that will still affect you. So maybe Philip the Tetrarch was seated that day, and he saw all the moves. Somehow, Salome, at around that age, married Philip the Tetrarch. It was the brother of Philip the Tetrarch that the mother married. Now look at the age difference now. Your daughter is marrying the brother of your first husband. You get what I'm saying? So Salome now married Philip the Tetrarch. And the age difference, according to historical studies, is around maybe 30 to 40 years. Imagine you are marrying a man that is 30 to 40 years older than you. That's your daddy, or maybe your grandpa, as the case may be. So, according to historical studies, they told us that after some time, Philip the Tetrarch died. And of course, maybe died of old age because he was already old. So when Philip the Tetrarch died, Salome, remember she married him. Of course, from that calculation, we can conclude that she married him as a teenager. It was around that age that she was doing her dance, 12 to 15, that she also married Philip the Tetrarch. You understand what I'm saying? Obviously, my suspicion is that Philip the Tetrarch must have been there that day, and he also saw all the move. So although she succeeded in manipulating the king, she also, at the end of the day, she had to marry somebody very much older than her. Are you there? Because everything came from what she did also. You get what I'm saying? So while you are doing evil, you can't do all the evil to your victim. A part of the evil will also stick to you. That's what I'm trying to say. You understand what I'm saying? So when Philip the Tetrarch now died, Salome now married Aristobulus of Chalcis. Are you there? Now, this Aristobulus of Chalcis, let me explain. You know that I told you that Aristobulus is the father of Herodias, the mother of Salome. Now, after the death of Salome's husband, that one that was very old, like her grandpa that she married after she did a terrible dance. When that Philip the Tetrarch now died, he now went ahead to marry Aristobulus of Chalcis. Now, this Aristobulus is not the same Aristobulus that is the father of her mother. Aristobulus is not a title. Aristobulus is a name. Not the same way you can have many people who bears the same name. So this Aristobulus now is like a grandson to the Aristobulus that gave birth to. This Aristobulus is like a grandson to the Aristobulus that gave birth to Herodias. So obviously, he's going to be very young. So it was after Philip the Tetrarch died that she now married Aristobulus of Chalcis, who happened to be the grandson of Aristobulus, the father of her mother. So obviously, grandson Aristobulus, the son of Aristobulus, then Aristobulus of Chalcis. This shows that. Can you see that? So this one now is of her age range. So the Aristobulus of Chalcis that Salome now married is now the one that was, within her age range. You understand? But notice the pattern. The mother, 2 husbands. Salome, 2. How many husbands? 2 husbands. What I'm showing you by tracing this pattern is this. You can't do evil to others successfully, and evil will not follow you. It's not possible. It may just take time, but it will come for you. It's not possible. Is it possible for you to use your hand to scoop water on another person, maybe because you want the person's clothes to get wet, you just want to deal with the person, you are using your hand to scoop water on the person, and you did it successfully. After doing it, will your hand not be wet? Obviously, it will be wet. So you cannot do 100% evil to others. At least 10% will come to you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the Aristobulus that gave birth to Herodias was a brother to Herod the Great, who was the father of Herod Antipas, the husband of Herodias, and the likes like that. You understand? So One thing I want you to note from here is this: you cannot successfully do evil to others and you won't reap it. That's just it. She thought she was dancing and then doing a dance and then setting up an old man. But it was also from that dance. It was after the dance now that she was now forced to marry an old man. Somebody that was old enough to be her grandpa. That's the person she married. Are you there? That was why her husband died while she was still young. Because the man was already old. You get what I'm saying? She would not have had the cost to marry two husbands, like her husband, like her mother, if she had not married that old man. Are you there? So while you are doing evil to others, just know that at least 10% you will get it. So the father of Aristobulus of Chalcis that Salome now married was the Herod of Chalcis. So when you say Aristobulus of Chalcis, I told you that Aristobulus is not a title, it's a personal name. So when you say Aristobulus of Chalcis, it's like you are saying Jesus Christ of Nazareth. You are trying to distinguish that Aristobulus from other ones. That this Aristobulus we are talking about is the one from Chalcis. And the father of that Aristobulus is the Herod of that same place, Chalcis. You understand? So she had to marry two husbands. Because if she had not done that terrible dance, I'm sure she might have just married Aristobulus of Chalcis, a young man like herself, and they would just live long. That record of being a widow, later marrying another husband, would not have become part of her life. So when you agree to do evil, you have indirectly invited evil to your life. That's just it. Once you agree to do evil to others, you have opened the door of your life for evil things. It may not come immediately, but after some time, when you are old and you look back, you'll be able to trace it. That this thing I did to this person was what opened the door to this thing. Look at what happened to Salome now. Let's be careful of what we do. Evil will always follow evil doers. You understand? Evil will always follow evil doers. It's that's just how it is. That's just the reality of life. If you choose to do evil, then you have signed up for evil. Just the same way the Bible says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. The same way evil follows evildoer. Yes, all the days of their life. Except they now make a decision for Jesus and then they surrender to Jesus. That's all. But without that, the same way goodness and mercy will follow the children of God, evil will always follow evildoers. There are people, you see, I was speaking to somebody from some days ago. I said, life is not the same to everybody. The definition of life to people is different. So when someone says I'm living life and you say you are living life, you are not saying the same thing. Life is the reality that you have created from your choices. That's all. Can I come again from that? With that, life is the reality you have created from your choices. Let me tell you something. What led to this discussion? Because um, a brother called me, and then he dropped a message for me some days ago. This thing happened this week, maybe on Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember, but it should be between those days. Then he said, "Sir, he just dropped a message for me on WhatsApp." So when it was this voice note was seconds. It was not even up to 1 minute. Then he said, "Sir, I'm currently." He described where he is, and then he said, "Just in case anything happens, so that you can know where to come and where to come to or how to trace me or something." So when I saw the voice note, I laughed. Although I know that was trouble, but I laughed. You understand? So that laughter is to that laughter is to control fear so that fear will not set in. So I just laughed. Then I spoke with Minister Christrock. Meanwhile, he had already sent the same thing to Minister Christrock too, because he is very close to Minister Christrock. Although he is older than him, but they are very close. You understand? He had known Minister Christrock before he came to me. You understand? So I now told Mr. Christrock. He now said, okay, it's like he dropped an audio for him too on WhatsApp, but he has not listened to it. So because me, I sent a copy of that voice note to Mr. Christrock because I know the two of them are very close. Now, later, I now called him that same day. I said, what is happening? He said, sir, I'm home now. I said, what happened? He said he was working in a place because he's this kind of person that used to get contracts. He does these POP things and he makes a lot of money from it. So he said he was working in a building and suddenly he heard a gunshot. I'm trying to explain to you what led to that statement I made when I said life is the reality you have created from the choices you make. That's what life is. It's not anything else. So two people can be living in the same house and yet they are not in the same life. So he was working there, and that place, that environment is like an outskirts. You understand? Is the innermost part. So those places where you see a lot of bushes around and things like that. He was walking there. Suddenly, he heard a gunshot. So somebody was trying to force his way through the gate of a particular man. The man came out and shot. He came out with a gun and just boom, away together. So when he saw the gunshot, he left what he was doing. He went out to see. Now, this was what led to the video he now recorded. When he went out to check, he now saw the man with the gun, the man that shot. And the man now saw him. That was when he came to drop the voice note. Now that the man that has a gun has seen me now, maybe he will also come for me and come and kill me, so that I will not expose him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think when he shot, the man that was trying to force his way through the gate ran away. But the man that shot saw him. So he got scared. But thank God he was able to run, maybe even fly over the fence and just escape and leave that house. Now, it was later that he was now saying that it's like the man in that house, the man living in that house is a cultist, something like that. That even some days before that time, he also shot in the air. He was also shooting like that. So I guess what was happening is this. Since he was a cultist, most of these cultists, they will have killed other cult members. So it's like some other cult group, they want to kill him. So he's always at alert. So if he hears anything at the gate, he will shoot. Who is there? That kind of thing. So that's the kind of world that the man has created for himself. So somebody cannot knock your gate now. You say, who is there? And you just go out, with this peace. Let me check who is at the gate. No. Once you knock, he's coming out with his gun. Are you there? So you can, by your choice, create a life that is void of peace for yourself. You can, by your choice, create a life that is full of sorrow for yourself. You can, by your choice, create a life that is full of suspicion for yourself. Are we together? That's it. So the choices you make is what will create the life that you will live in. So this daughter, Salome, made a choice. And that choice also affected the kind of life she lived. I'm very sure she would not have married two husbands if she had not agreed to do that dance. That I'm telling you, I'm very sure she might not have married two husbands. Because it was later, after the grandpa, that she married. After the grandpa died, that was when she now married Aristobulus of Chalcis, a young man like herself. But she would have just married rightly. without having to do second marriage if she had not agreed to do that evil. So that become part of her life. If they are asking now, how many of you have married two husbands? She must raise her hands. Are you there? Have you ever been a widow before? She have to raise her hands. But that reality might not have been part of her life if she had not decided to deceive or to manipulate her father. So while you are doing evil, you will think it's just the person, it's just others that is receiving it. No, a part of the evil you do to others is also kept for you. When you point a finger to a person, the remaining four is coming to you. So you cannot successfully do all evil to people. At least a part of the evil will come to you. If not now, later. Let's be careful. Are we together? The Lord is helping us in Jesus' name. I feel I need to stop here today because I want us to meditate on this. Tomorrow we'll continue. God bless you.